Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Luffy time travel with Boa Hancock, Nami, and Robin, movie 3. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let's begin this story. How did we ever end up in this mess? Erasmus mused, as he overlooked Wayne tending to the three people who appeared to be a family, a man, woman, and a little girl. They had rescued them during the massive storm that happened a half hour later, after they finished their job from the world government. Well, we couldn't just leave these people to die. Neo said monotonously. If it weren't for me, their deaths would have been guaranteed. Well, that is true, but we don't know who they are though, and we can't keep them with us. Erasmus stated, as Wayne finished up checking on them. Wayne didn't have his mask on, showing his somewhat feminine, yet handsome face to his crewmates. He also was wearing a simple white shirt with a white coat over, along with khaki chinos, and brown suede shoes. Well, aside from a couple fractures, cuts, and bruises, they are going to be just fine. Wayne said, as he looked over at his work. The three people appeared to have been a rich family that were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Arrival especially took note of the group. They were pale, not due to being cold or anything of the sort, but rather they are naturally pale, along with having light blonde hair. A little while later, they woke up. Where am I? What's going on? The now awakened man spoke, as he got up the bed he was in. Calm down, sir. You and your family were caught up in a storm when we rescued you three from drowning. Neos explained, trying to get the man to calm down. Soon after, the man's wife and daughter woke up in panic as well. Honey, what's going on? Where are we? The woman asked with panicked evidence in her voice. Mommy? Daddy? Why are you yelling? Is something wrong? The little girl asked hesitantly, as she noticed her parents and herself bandaged and in some beds in front of three strangers. Now, before any of you jump to conclusions and do something rash, we were merely passing by in our submarine when we already saw you three sinking into the abyss of the ocean. Arrival explained to the now calmer family. The man spoke up after Arrival spoke, gaining courage and calmness by the captain's words. How were we saved? He asked the three men in front of him. Well, the stoic guy leaning on the wall there practically did the entire rescue mission, so he should be the one gaining your thanks. Wayne said, as he directed the man with his head towards Neo's, who just nodded with his usual poker face on. As for how we saved you, that's a secret. He continued on, as he gave them a playful grin. Well, as you all probably know, we cannot keep you here with us. Erasmus stated seriously, as he looked at the family. So where I'm getting it is, where do you live, and is it nearby? We live in Syrup Village, which is on the Gecko Islands. The little girl said, a little scared of the captain, most likely due to his soul-piercing, Hulk-like eyes. Erasmus took note of what she said, nodded, and turned to Wayne. How long will it take us to get there? He asked, as Wayne left the room, and went to the navigation room. He looked at the very advanced-looking table which showed a holographic map of the East Blue. He then pinpointed their location, and where the Gecko Islands were located at. Once he got the information he needed, he went back to where the rest were. It'll take us 2 hours to reach theirs. So with that out of the picture, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Gracielson Wayne, and I'm the doctor and navigator of this submarine. I'm Gassendir Asfel, the captain and cook of this humble place. Razmik Neos, shipwright and weapon master. Well, I don't see any harm in introducing ourselves, the man said, receiving a nod from his wife and daughter. My name is Edmund, and this is my wife Charlotte, he said, as he grabbed his daughter and put her on his lap. And this little beauty here. He was stopped by the girl's hands. Daddy, I can introduce myself, you know, she said, as she got off her dad's lap and went up towards Erasmus, as she extended her hand. My name is Kaya, future doctor. Thank you for saving us. But Luffy a couple hours before. Well, that's enough training for today, said a completely tired out Luffy, as he laid on the ground with round bushes surrounding him. He now knew that making living things takes so much energy, even when he memorized the living being's structure. After getting up, he heard a sizzling sound coming from his hat, which he remembered placing on the piece of paper that Jersey gave him, and took it out. Much to his shock, the moment he got it out, it fizzled out of existence. So he died. Was all a saddened Luffy could say. He knew that every day for a pirate, there was always that chance of death leering over them. Not letting the demise of a potential ally and friend get to him, he decided to head back home, as he got really hungry. Despite this, if he found those responsible for their deaths, he would avenge them. When he was about to home, he came across a wild boar who stupidly charged at the exhausted Luffy, who despite his exhaustion, just rinkakued the boar straight through the middle effortlessly, splitting said boar into 2 pieces. When he came back home, he saw that Robin was out on the porch reading, while Ace was chopping down wood. Hey guys. I'm back with food, Luffy yelled happily, as he made his appearance known while he held a piece of the boar in each hand. Ace rushed up to Luffy while Robin just looked up from her book and smiled at the two. He would really be a great father, Robin thought to herself suddenly, as she continued on watching Luffy and Ace interacting with each other. Realizing what she just thought of, Robin's face reddened a little before removing such thoughts of Luffy from her head. Before she could go say hello to Luffy, he headed to the back of the house to give the sliced board to Rouge. After Luffy came back from giving the board to Rouge, he went up to Robin to speak to her about some things. "Hi Robin." A revigored Luffy spoke cheerfully as he sat down next to Robin. "Hello, Luffy-san. I guess that your training ended well?" Robin asked, as she took a sip from her cup of coffee that was on the table nearby her. "Finally. I was getting tired of being called Straw Hat-san," Luffy said, as he gave a very honest grin. Robin chuckled at that statement. "Well, if you are going to be my captain, I could also call you Captain-san," she stated playfully, much to Luffy's horror. "No? Don't call me that just when you finally started calling me by my name. I hate formalities," Luffy said before he was shocked by what he said. "I can now say super long words. Didn't see that one coming," Luffy thought, as he stretched his arms, without using his gum fruit. "Okay, then Captain-san," Robin said, making Luffy pout, and put his head on the table. After a moment of silence, Luffy started the conversation again. "So Robin, would you like to learn how to use it?" he asked the archaeologist. "You would teach me that?" She was surprised by his generous offer. "Of course. Anything for me," Luffy stated happily, as he gave her his trademark grin. Robin couldn't help but smile at what he just said. This is the first time in 10 years that someone was genuinely helping her get stronger, as well as keep her safe, not to mention all he asked of her was to join his pirate crew. "Sure, why not tomorrow, seeing as you seem pretty tired from training," she said, as she finished the last of her cup of coffee. "Okay then, we'll start tomorrow morning," Luffy finished, as he headed inside of the house with Ace, and Robin following shortly thereafter. "Thank you, Luffy," Robin whispered, as she went inside the house. When the perfectionists reached the Gecko Islands, they expected it to be a little more populated, to say the least, not that they were complaining. "Land ho!" Wayne yelled, as he jumped off of the submarine, and with Edmund riding on his back while Neos and Erasval did the same with Charlotte and Kai respectively. When they landed, they didn't expect someone to be out there, as if you were expecting them. Pirates have landed. And they have captured Kaya and her family," the young boy with an unusually long nose exclaimed repeatedly, as he ran back to what appeared to be his village. But before he could even run 10 feet, Erasval appeared in front of him, grabbed him, and blurred back to his original position next to Kaya. "Do you know this kid?" Erasval asked, as he put the long-nosed kid down. "Beware, you pirates. I have over 8 million men behind me, the great Captain Usopp." The now-named Usopp exclaimed a little shakily, as he tried to intimidate the 3 unknown men in front of him with his very believable and well-thought-out lie. "Usopp, stop. They saved us from getting killed by a storm. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here," Kaya said to her friend, trying to get him to calm down. "Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw that you guys were carrying Kaya and her family, and I jumped to conclusions." Usopp apologized, to which Wayne and Erasval shook their heads in amusement, while Neos had a very unnoticeable smile on his face. This boy, Neos thought, as he examined Usopp. "I wonder how he knew we were going to land here. Does he have observation hockey? If he does, and at such a young age, he no doubt has massive potential for it, like me." "How did you know we were here?" Neos questioned the little Usopp. "I don't know, I just felt some sort of pull over here," Usopp answered, confirming Neo's suspicions. "Well, let's head to the village, you 3 will absolutely love it," Charlotte said, as she took her husband's hand and led the other 5 to Syrup Village. At Syrup Village, to their surprise, the village was rather lively and looked peaceful, too peaceful for their tastes. Well, then again, they are big-time bounty hunters that are accustomed to warfare. "So what do you think of Mr. Gaston?" Edmund asked the captain of the 3-man crew. "I've never seen such peacefulness in a single place. But please, no formalities. Arrival is fine," Erasval stated, as he looked around the area. "Oh? By the way, Usopp, how's your mother?" Kaya asked Usopp, who just shook his head in sadness. "It's pretty bad. The local doctor says she doesn't have more than 2 days left." Usopp choked out, as tears threatened to fall off. Wayne just looked on at the 2 youngsters, and decided to butt into the young children's conversation. "Maybe I can help. I am a doctor, you know," he told the young Usopp, who just gaped at the orange-haired man in shock. "Really, you can heal my mom?" Usopp exclaimed with hope evident in his tone of voice. "Believe it or not, Wayne here is one of the best doctors out there in the world, so I can vouch for him," Neo stated neutrally, as he looked at Wayne, who just grinned at his compliment. "So can you take us there, Usopp? That is, unless you don't want your mom to live," Wayne stated a little playfully, as Usopp rushed as fast as he could towards his house, motioning the 3 bounty hunters and Kaya's family to follow him. Wayne's statement was met with 2 punches, one from each of his crewmates for scaring the kid a little with that statement. "You shouldn't say that to a kid about his own mother, who apparently is near death's door," Neo scolded Wayne, as he really disapproved of what he did. "If you were just some random-ass doctor that I barely knew, I would have shoved Caliburn so far up your ass or slice off your gentleman's parts just for saying that, even though that wouldn't have killed you either way," Erasval warned the now pale Wayne. After warnings from his crewmates, Wayne and the rest went to Usopp's house. in Yusuf's house. When the group entered Yusuf's house, they were greeted to the sight of Yusuf sitting on a chair that was next to a bed, which had Yusuf's mother lying there. Hello there, Yusuf has told me about you three. I'm Banchina. I would get up to shake your hand, but certain circumstances won't allow me to. Yusuf's mother, now known as Banchina, said softly, as she looked onto them from her bed. Okay then, I guess I'll skip introductions. So, Wayne said, as he extended his right arm, as blackish red gas started emanating from it, and condensed itself before dispersing to show a big bag filled with state-of-the-art medical equipment, much to the shock and surprise of those in the room minus his crewmates. Apparently you're sick, and the local doctor has resigned you to your deathbed. Well, you aren't going down if I have any say in it. Wayne promised seriously, as he began to position all of the equipment in the bag around the bed that Banchina is currently in. Okay, I'm going to need everyone to get out for about a couple of hours or so. Wayne ordered professionally, as he then looked down at Yusuf. That means you are too young. I'm sorry, but you can't be with your mom while I'm working. Please go out with the others. Wayne kindly told Yusuf, who noticed everyone, but he left the building, so he left following Wayne's orders. Are you ready for Banchina? Wayne asked, to which she nodded. Alright then, let's get you healthy again. Outside Yusuf's house, will she be okay? Kaya asked Rival while Yusuf walked out of the house next to her. Don't worry about it. Arazal said kindly to the two kids, as he crouched down to look at the Maida Eye, and rustled their hair. If I ever were to catch a deadly disease unknown to man, I would trust Wayne to find the cure, and to give it to me. Indeed. The old geezer has vast amounts of knowledge inside of that youthful head of his. It's a wonder how he hasn't gotten senile yet. Neos remarked, as he looked up at the sky to watch the clouds. Neos sir. Edmund began. Why do you keep calling the young doctor old geezer? He appears to be around your age if not younger. He questioned, as Neos smirked while Arazal let out a chuckle. The fact of the matter is, he is actually older than all of us combined. In fact this year, he's going to turn. Arazal went on, as he somewhat forgot how old Wayne really is. 468 years old ours. Neos informed his captain. Yes, 468 years old. That is the first reason we call Wayne old geezer. The second reason we do it, and quite possibly the main reason, as well, is, it irritates him. Arazal finished smiling while Neo's smirk turned into a chuckle. The other four, however, paled in the realization that the doctor is essentially a relic from the past that happened to also be immortal. Did Wayne eat a devil fruit? Charlotte asked uncertainly, as she looked at the house where the orange-haired Dr. Navigator was currently in. Yes, he did. Neos stated simply, as he continued cloud-gazing. Which one is it? She pressed on. We can't say. It's a secret to anyone, and everyone who isn't in our crew. Arazal said with seriousness evident on the expression on his face. What about you, and Neos? Yusuf asked this time. We also have devil fruit powers if that's what you are asking. Arazal voiced out, as he let out a yawn. Which powers are they? Yusuf and Kaya inquired, much to Aur's amusement. Like I have said before, that's a secret. He teased, much to the children's frustration. Well, now if you guys don't mind, I'll go to sleep. Wake me up when Wayne gets out, Neos. Arazal told his shipwright, who just nodded in confirmation. 2 hours later. Well, that was pretty fucking easy to cure. And here I thought it was going to be a new discovery or something. Wayne exclaimed, as he stretched and removed the rubber gloves he had on. Everyone, including the now awake arrival, looked towards the direction of the now professionally dressed doctor. So how's my mom? Yusuf asked worryingly, as he was preparing for the worst. Much to his relief, Wayne smiled. She is just fine. Thankfully I had the cure to her said disease. Give her a week's rest, as well as plenty of food, and she'll be back to the mom you always knew and loved. Wayne reassured the long-nosed kid, who started crying out of joy. The rival then went up to Wayne. So will it all go smoothly? Arazal asked. Oh hell yeah, the disease is curable. The doctors here in the area just didn't have enough information about the disease. Even if they did though, the supplies for the disease aren't available here in the East Blue. Wayne explained, as he looked at Kaya's family, and smiled. First you save us, and then you save a family friend. How can we ever repay you three? Edmund said gratefully, as he looked at the 3 bounty hunters. The 3 were in thought before they looked at each other, and decided to huddle up away from the 4. What do you guys think? We don't need money, and we are no longer wanted by the world government. What can they give us? Arazal asked his crewmates. I would like to have the chance to train the long-nosed kid. Neos said, shocking the other 2. Why? What did you see in him? Arazal questions Neos, who just gave him the "you serious" face. Well, for one, he was there when our submarine surfaced. He also said that he felt a pulse, so to speak, that led him to us. This is an obvious sign of him beginning to awaken. Neos reasoned. Yeah, now that you mention it, I'd like to also train the young girl. She did say that she wanted to become a doctor. Wayne chimed in, much to the Arazal's dismay. Well, alright then, if that's what you guys want, then we'll ask for that. Arazal concluded, as they headed back to where the other 4 were. We decided that you can repay us by selling your souls to us. Wayne exclaimed evilly, the horror of Kaya's family, and Yusuf, who turned blue in fear. Wayne then got smacked by the blunt end of Neo's guandao, along with the handle of Erasval's caliburn. Sorry. The geezer didn't mean that. What we really want is to train your daughter and her friend. Neo stated professionally, as Wayne gaped at him. Yes Wayne, I told them you're not so secret. They now know that you are an old senile fool who's only good at being a doctor and navigator. Neo's taunted while Wayne extended his left arm, as the same blackish red gas started emanating from it to form his signature warning sign weapon. Would you like to repeat that? Wayne warned dangerously, as he started walking slowly towards Neo's, who entered a fighting stance with his guandao. I'll be glad to. You're an old senile foe he wasn't able to finish, as Wayne launched a flurry of strikes at him which Neo's was able to defend from gracefully and successfully. Did I mention he also did it with grace? Ignoring the fighting, Neo's is going to train Usopp, while Wayne is going to train Kaya. A rival explained to them. He nodded in understanding. Alright then, give me a moment. Erasval continued before flashing between Wayne and Neo's, and coated his arms with armament hockey to block their respective weapons. If you guys are done, may you explain what you are planning on training the children to the adults? Erasval started receiving a nod from both of them. I'll train the long-nosed kid in observation hockey, and how to protect himself and his comrades. Neo's started getting a nod from Usopp. I will be teaching Kaya as much as I can with my knowledge in the medical field. Wayne started before holding Erasval in a one-armed hug. And ours here will teach her in swordsmanship. Before a rival could even retort, Wayne tightened his hug on him and whispered to his ear. You owe me ours. Besides, she looks like a fast learner, so she could be a good disciple for you. Erasval sighed, knowing Wayne can be more stubborn than himself at times, so he gave in and nodded in confirmation. You probably don't own a sword, so I'll give you the weakest sword I have available so you can start. Erasval said, as he closed his eyes and opened his right hand before a small golden portal appeared and coughed out Kalatbulk. Once it came out, he grabbed onto it and handed it to Kaya, who accepted it gratefully. Thank you so much. I will try my best, Kaya exclaimed happily, as she lifted Kalatbulk into the air. I will try my best too. For I am the great Captain Usopp. Usopp exclaimed, as he held up his slingshot. Well, now that that is settled, come over to our house for some nice dinner. Charlotte offered. Only if I help with the cooking. Erasval said kindly. Sure, if that's all you ask for. Charlotte responded happily, as she led them to her family's mansion. But what about my mom? Usopp asked, as he didn't want his mother alone. She'll be fine. Right now she's resting, and I know that Erasval will save some food just for her. Wayne said, grinning, comforting the young Usopp while Erasval nodded at his statement. The rival then looked around his surroundings, and saw how his crewmates were all relaxed and enjoying themselves on this peaceful island. He smiled and followed Charlotte and her family to their mansion. I could get used to this. Back to Luffy. Luffy laid on his bed thinking on ways on how to use his new devil fruit power when suddenly. Hello? Who's this? Luffy asked when he picked up the call from his den. Who's this? Who are you? Where's Luffy? Shanks questioned angrily while Luffy realized who it was. I am Luffy, Shanks. It's a long story to explain. Luffy told Shanks, who grunted through the other side of the den. I have plenty of time. But what I really want to know is what happened in the future that caused you to come back. Sure, I'll tell you. You're the only person besides your crew and Makino who knows about me being from the future. Luffy told Shanks. Okay then, on with it. Alright, it all started one morning, and that's all that happened before having this conversation with you, Shanks. Luffy concluded, as he sat up from his bed in order to get in a more comfortable position. Wow, that's a lot to take in, Luffy. Sighing out a clearly exhausted Shanks, who was sorting out the new information he received about the future from Luffy. Even after leaving Luffy a couple of months ago, he is still making changes that he never thought he was even capable of even doing in the first place. I mean, you not only ate a second devil fruit, but apparently that devil fruit is the Adam fruit, a devil fruit which has never been recorded to have been used ever. Moreover, you used said new power to help you rescue your future crewmate Neko Robin. To be honest, I was completely surprised when you told me that she was one of your original crewmates, as well as what actually happened to her to have gotten that high of a bounty at such a young age. You seriously thought she was capable of destroying 6 Buster Call ships at the age of 8? Luffy stated incredulously, making Shanks go silent, as Luffy pressed on. With a devil fruit power that is not naturally made to be destructive. He further added on, much to Shanks' embarrassment. So what's your plan, Luffy? How are you going to change the future? Shanks asked Luffy, who looked up at the ceiling. Well, I have been training my original like Nami, Zoro, Sanji, and Robin. I was also able to gain new friends like Nami's sister Najiko, and Zoro's rival Kurina. Luffy said, as he tried to make a ball of blue gas from the palm of his hand just like how Ms. Adam does it. Now that I have a bigger crew along with the fact that they are learning, their chances for surviving the Grand Line will be much bigger. That's it. That's all you are going to do? Yep. Are you sure? Yeah. Sai never change, Luffy never changes. Shanks told Luffy, as he hung up. Luffy then hung up, as he got ready to go to sleep. Well, I hope Robin is ready for tomorrow. 5 months later. It's been 5 months since Luffy decided to train Robin along with Ace in how to use them. For the most part, things were pretty uneventful, with the only things being worth notice is Ace mastering observation haki, and Nico mastering armament haki, as well as beginning to master his conqueror's haki. When Luffy began training Robin, she mastered observation haki in a span of 3 months, which amazed Luffy, and used the remaining 2 months to train her armament haki. While they were training there, Luffy was thinking of new ways on how to use the Adam fruit. 1 week after his first day on training, his second devil fruit had been contemplating rather loudly about how else he could use his Adam fruit powers. Robin just went up to him and dropped off a couple of books on chemistry, physics, and astronomy. She told him that if he's having that much trouble trying to find new ways on how to use said abilities, that he should read books that have information and knowledge on what the atom does, and such. But Luffy, being Luffy, pouted, then said that reading was boring, and could not find anything fun about it. Most hypocritical statement I have ever written. Despite this, Robin was able to bribe Luffy with meat so he would read them, and that she would be reading with him in case he doesn't understand some parts he's reading. For some reason that Luffy could not find, he found reading with Robin interesting, if not enjoyable. However, one day while reading late at night they unknowingly dozed off in very close proximity to each other, and Ace captured the moment via Den camera. The morning after that, when they woke up right next to each other, it was one of the most awkward moments they've ever been through. Deciding it never happened, they got up for a quiet breakfast, only to be greeted by Ace, who showed them photos at many different angles. 2 months after this incident happened, Luffy decided that it was time to go visit Usopp at the Gecko Islands. Sure, he wouldn't be able to save his mom, but at least he'll be there for him, and be able to teach him early. He knew that he'll excel in observation haki, as his affinity was the highest among the original crew. Hey guys, would you like to go to the Gecko Islands for a vacation? Luffy asked suddenly, as he and the family, as Rouge calls it, were currently eating a picnic in the forest under a tree with Makino as a guest. I'm okay with it, but why? Ace questioned, as he took a bite from the piece of alligator meat that was currently in his hands. I don't know, just feel like it. And I'd like to make some new friends so they'll join my crew. Luffy explained, as he gave those around him his trademark grin. Well, if Luffy and Ace are going, then I'm going, as well. Rouge stated happily, as she took a sip from her cup of juice. If I could use a break from work, I'll close the bar temporarily. I really need a break. Makino explained, gaining a nod from those around her. Seems like fun. Robin spoke cheerfully, as she took a bite from her sandwich. One question though, Makino chimed in, as they all stopped minus Luffy, to pay attention to her. How will you take us all there? I know you're strong, fast, and you can fly, but I don't think you can carry the 4 of us at the same time, at least not comfortably you can. She reasoned while Luffy let out a laugh, and Robin smiled. While Makino-san, Luffy-san thought up a new way to use his new devil fruit power. Why don't you give them a little demonstration, Luffy? Robin stated, as Luffy started lifting his right arm in the air. At that moment, blue dust-like gas surrounded the perimeter of their picnic area, and the huge chunk of ground that was under them was suddenly ripped off the island and started flying towards the direction of the Gecko Islands. Thankfully, I was able to somewhat replicate Shikey's devil fruit. Even after doing it for a while, it never gets boring. Luffy thought to himself, as Ace enjoyed himself flying through the sky while Makino and Rouge looked shell-shocked at the sudden turn of events. At this speed, we'll be able to reach the Gecko Islands in 5 hours. Is this what they call psychokinesis? Makino exclaimed completely in awe, as she watched them get farther and farther from Dawn Island. In a way, I guess you can say that it is psychokinesis. Robin answered, as she rested under the shade of the tree while the piece of earth continued on its path. Oh, I'm glad I'll be able to go see Usopp now. I know that his mother died of an incurable disease, but I hope I can be there for him at least. Maybe I should also have Usopp's girlfriend join my crew too, so that way we will have more doctors, and Chopper has less work to do. Luffy thought nostalgically, as lifted his head up and looked at the horizon. 5 hours later, when they were beginning to see the Gecko Islands, Luffy sensed Usopp's aura. However, this wasn't the only thing that caught his attention, rather, that was only one of 3 things that caught his attention. The second thing was that one of the big hills on the island appeared to have been cut cleanly in half. Whoa. Do you all see that one big hill over there in the distance? Who could do such a thing? Ace asked in complete shock, as he's never seen something so big have such a clean cut going through it. Rouge and Makino didn't say anything. Rouge didn't say anything mainly because she's seen that many times before, when Roger had occasionally taken her to see the Grand Line in some of his journeys. Makino, on the other hand, has never seen something so unnatural that her brain was having difficulty processing what she was seeing. Robin, on the other hand, decided to humor Ace's question. Yes, we do see that, Ace. It seems even here in the East Blue there are some things that can happen that usually only happen in the Grand Line. Robin mused, as she herself thought that it should be impossible for a normal human to be able to cut a big hill in what appeared to be in one strike. As this was going on, Luffy was more worried about the third and final thing that caught his attention. What caught his attention the most was that he sensed three extremely powerful figures on the island, along with Yusuf's aura, with all three of them seeming to be a couple levels under his own strength in terms of aura size. What the hell? Who are these guys? They're too strong to have been born here in the East Blue, or any of the blues for that matter. Are they from the New World? I need to get there faster. Now. Luffy exclaimed in his mind, as his face took a serious look, and a piece of land suddenly quintupled its speed, much to the surprise of those on said piece of land. Woohoo! Faster, Luffy goes faster. Ace yelled, as the adrenaline started kicking in due to the excitement. No? Slow down. Exclaimed Hugging Rouge and Makino at the same time, as they were never used to such speeds, much less in the air. Robin, however, stayed silent. One look at Luffy's face, and she could tell something's wrong, and that something is going to happen real soon. While getting closer, Luffy and Robin caught a glimpse of a silver and ivory-colored submarine docked on the harbor. Why would there be a submarine here in the East Blue? They both thought at the same time unknowingly. A couple minutes later, they landed on the outskirts of Syrup Village, just far enough that no one will know how they got there. Okay guys. Let's enjoy ourselves and have some fun. Luffy started hiding the feeling he felt before, as he handed each of them 100,000, much to their shock or surprise, or if you're Robin, amusement. How did you get this much money, Luffy? Makino asked before she remembered how. Kaguma's bounty. He answered, as Makino turned a little red to forget that day. Yeah, I remember now. Makino spoke with a hint of embarrassment in her tone of voice. I'm going to explore a bit. Luffy told them, as he left to do his own things in Syrup Village. Ace, not wanting to leave his only brother alone, decided to go with him. Well, he did give us money, so let's go shopping. Rogue exclaimed happily, as she grabbed Makino's and Robin's wrist, and began leading them into Syrup Village. With Luffy and Ace. Luffy was following the direction that led him to Yusuf's presence when Ace suddenly jumped on top of his shoulder. Hey lil bro, what you doing? Ace asked, as he leaned on his head. Wouldn't you be the lil bro now, Ace? Luffy retorted, not answering Ace's question. Nope, even if you are bigger than me, and way stronger than me, you'll always be my little bro. He replied, getting a chuckle out of Luffy. As to what I'm doing, use your observation hockey, Ace. You'll know why. Luffy said seriously, as a confused face did, as he was told. Suffice to say, he was in shock at what he felt. What was that, Luffy? Are you going over to where they are? Ace asked worryingly, and much to his dismay, Luffy nodded. Well, I'll go with you too. That way, I'll be there to help you in case of anything. Ace promised, as Luffy continued walking towards Kaya's mansion. As they were getting closer, he saw the gate at Kaya's mansion open, and saw 5 people getting out of there. He noticed that 2 of them were the children-sized Yusuf and Kaya, each holding a weapon. Luffy narrowed his eyes, as he looked at the bigger figures, but was surprised to sense nothing bad about them. He and Ace continued spying on them, and were surprised by what they were doing with Yusuf and Kaya. The guy with the dark royal blue hair looked to be teaching Kaya the art of sword fighting, while the black-haired man was testing Yusuf's aim with different weapons. Let's go down there and talk to them. Luffy said, as Ace looked at him, as if he grew another head. Why? Ace hissed out, as to not get their attention. Weren't you saying that they were strong? Yeah, but they could help us get stronger. Luffy reasoned with Ace, who still looked skeptical. Whatever, just try to not get them angry. Ace murmured out in defeat, as he and Luffy looked back at Kaya and Yusuf training. And just who are you guys not trying to get angry with? A male voice behind them kindly asked, much to Luffy's surprise and Ace's horror. They turned around and saw none other than the man who was training Kaya on how to use his sword. Gaston d'Erasval. Mehek. Luffy thought for a quick moment when he saw a rival's eyes stare at him and Ace, but realized it wasn't him just as quick. But then this revelation brought up another question. Why does this guy have the same eyes as Mehek? So, Erasval began getting the brothers' attention. May I ask who you two are, and why you were spying on us? Not feeling any bad intentions from him, Luffy answered in his usual happy-go-lucky tone. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, future king of the pirates. Luffy proudly exclaimed, as Ace gained the courage to introduce himself as well. Porgas the Ace, Luffy's brother, and I'm the one who's going to be king of the pirates. Ace started cockily trying to irritate Luffy, who just chuckled at his statement. Okay, then Erasval started not really knowing how to comment on their introductions, before deciding on introducing himself. Well, my name is Gaston d'Erasval, or Oris for short. It's a pleasure to meet fellow D members. D? What do you mean by D? Ace asked, as he really wants to know what the D in his name stands for. You'll probably know when you're older. As to why I'm here, why were you two spying on us? I haven't seen your faces before either, so that brings up the question, where are you from, as well? Erasval questioned the brothers politely, as he wasn't looking for a fight. Yet, we came from Dawn Island for a vacation. And we spied on you guys because we wanted to know what you guys were teaching those kids. Luffy responded honestly, as Erasval nodded in understanding. Well, why don't you guys join us then? You guys might learn something new. Erasval offered to which Ace and Luffy looked at each other before nodding to each other, and responded with a yes. Alrighty then, follow me. The three walked back to where the rest of the protagonists were, and Luffy felt very joyful to see Usopp again, even if he is a little kid again. Guys, we have some guests here from Dawn Island to join us, so introduce yourselves. Erasval elucidated, as the four nodded. Hey guys, the name's Wayne, Gracilson Wayne. The orange-haired man started playfully, as grinned at them. Raz McNeos. The black-haired man spoke neutrally, as he sized up Luffy and Ace. Unnoticed by those around him, his eyes whitened slightly, as he felt Luffy's presence. This man, even though his presence seems to feel above average for the East Blue, I can tell he's suppressing it heavily, meaning he's much stronger than he's letting us in at. Good afternoon, my name is Kaya. Pleasure to meet you. The pale blonde girl chirped out happily, as she leaned on her sword Caladbulg, which was stabbed into the ground. Hi, you may have heard of me, the great man of the seas, the great Captain Usopp. Usopp proudly exclaimed, much to Luffy's amusement, as he too stuck his slingshot staff into the ground. Hello to you guys, as well, my name is Mickey D. Luffy, and this is my brother Ace. Luffy introduced Ace and himself towards the new faces. While they started chatting to each other, and I, and an ear on a tree that was nearby, spied on the brothers for a while, looking towards the group's direction before disappearing, leaving only flower petals. With Robin, Neko Robin had spied on Luffy and Ace for quite a while when she waited for Makino and Rouge to be finished with their shopping spree. She was really interested in the new people that Luffy and Ace had met, as they seemed to be very interesting personalities at the very least. Robin, come get your bag, we're done paying for the clothing. Rouge happily said, getting Robin's attention, as well as having her dispel her eye that was spying on Luffy. Okay, I'm coming. Robin stated, as she grabbed a box filled with clothing. Would you two like to come with me to go find Luffy and Ace to see what they're doing? Robin asked the other two women in the group, who looked at each other before nodding and humming agreement. Using her newfound ability of observation haki, Robin was able to pinpoint Luffy's location, as there appeared to be other people there around his level. For some reason though, she didn't feel worried or anything of the sort. As a matter of fact, she felt rather relaxed, truly relaxed in a way that she never truly felt in a long time. For over half of her life, she had to constantly worry about being betrayed and backstabbed by people, even when they seemed to be kind and trustworthy. Even when Luffy brought her to his home, for the first month or so, she didn't really feel safe, that is until she had a life-changing conversation with Ace's mother, Rouge. Flashback. Robin was currently helping Rouge prepare lunch when she finally decided to ask the question she has wanted to ask her for a while. Rouge? Robin spoke softly, getting Rouge's attention. Yes, Robin. Rouge responded, ready to answer any question she may have. Why haven't you or Luffy betrayed me yet? Robin bluntly questioned, much to the shock and surprise of Rouge. What do you mean? We would never abandon you. Where did you ever get such an idea? She exclaimed, completely appalled by the idea of abandoning someone who she would consider family. I've been on the run for a little over 10 years. Every single person or group I have met always either accepts me with open arms, only to betray me at the worst possible moment, or they chase me down, and try to either kill me for my bounty or try to have their way with me. Robin explained, causing Rouge to have a grim look on her face. And how do you know that we are like those who have persecuted you, Robin? What makes you think we would ever betray you? Rouge questioned, trying to figure out more. I don't know. I feel conflicted. Whenever I'm near you or Luffy, I feel a mixture of emotions that are hard for me to describe. Robin started, making Rouge nod in understanding. You know, Rouge began. Me and Ace were being persecuted by the world government for a long period of time after the Pirate King Roger's death, before being saved by none other than the hero of the Marines, Monkey D. Guard. Robin was rather shocked by the revelation, never knowing that Rouge had gone through something similar through what she went through. Why, though? What did you ever do that would cause the entire world government? She really wanted to know what she did to ever make the world government. My crime against the world government was just bearing Roger's legacy, was all Rouge said while she continued making lunch. It only took Robin a couple of seconds to put two and two together to realize what she meant. Wait, you don't mean? Robin started before getting interrupted by Rouge. Yes, Ace is Roger's son. After Roger's execution, the world government looked through every single town in every single island that Roger had been in order to find out if he had left any children behind. They killed who knows how many children in trying to purge Roger's tainted blood from the face of this planet. Rouge spat out that last sentence in distaste. Robin could only look at the older woman in shock. How in the world was she able to escape the world government was currently the biggest question ringing in Robin's head. In order for Ace and I to have survived that event, I held him in me for around 20 months, and let me tell you, I'm not planning on having another kid anytime soon. Rouge continued, trying to lighten up the mood around the kitchen while also answering Robin's question. Robin has heard, seen, and been through many weird things in her life, from finding out about devil fruits, all the way to seeing her home island O'Hare being burned to the ground. Rouge's story, however, just went up in her list as one of the most amazing and unique experiences she has ever heard or seen. She held a baby in her for 20 months. I wonder if her vagina is still intact. Robin thought a little darkly. Of course, the doctor that was there for Ace's birth told me that me surviving the birth after having him in there for so long, it would be nigh impossible. Despite this though, I wanted my child to live a normal life with at least someone there to be for him. With Roger gone, I willed myself to survive, as long as I could so I could see my baby grow up to be a wonderful man. And now here we are, with Ace living a somewhat normal life, as well as gaining a younger brother, though you can't call Luffy little anymore. Not to mention, Luffy brought you into our family, as well, and I really am thankful for that. Rouge concluded her story, as Robin looked at her with glistening eyes. That is why neither me nor Luffy will ever betray you or abandon you, Robin. You have a special place in both of our hearts. And from what I can see, that certain place in Luffy's heart is getting bigger every moment. Rouge playfully told Robin, who gave off a very slight blush at what that comment implemented. Why do you keep assuming that something is going on between us? We aren't even dating. Robin questioned Rouge, who just gave her a grin. Yet. Was all that Rouge said much of Robin's unseen ire? Flashback end. Robin continued walking along the road with Rouge and Makino beside her for about half an hour when they heard two distinct voices yelling at each other. You will eat this delicious motherfucking pie even if I have to shove it down your throat. And then I'll make you say that my pie is delicious. Yelled out one voice that only Robin knew to whom it came from, whereas the other two females in the vicinity were new to said voice. No? Pies are disgusting. You can't make me. Exclaimed the other voice, to which all three women knew was Luffy's voice. Not even a second had passed before they were greeted by the sight of Luffy flying away from a dark royal blue-haired young man who was chasing Luffy with a sword in his right hand, and a slice of what appeared to be pumpkin pie on the other hand. You know, if it wasn't for Luffy being so strong, I would have been worried for his safety. Makino chimed in, breaking the silence that appeared when they saw the young man chase Luffy. Agreed. Stated the other two women neutrally before a couple of seconds later, an audible explosion was heard followed by more yelling. You prick. It took me over an hour to bake that pie. You're so fucking dead. Well, you shouldn't have tried to have force-fed it to me in the first place. I think we should go look for Ace, and see what happens. Rouge told Makino, and Robin nodded in agreement. Robin decided to take the lead, and walked to where she sensed Ace's ore, as well as a couple other ones. Much to their surprise, Ace was calmly chatting with the four other people there while having a picnic. The moment they came into view though, Neos looked at their direction, and grunted, gaining the attention of the other four people. We have some visitors. Neos stated, as he pointed to where the three women were. MMMPH. Oh hey. Come on over. There's enough food for everyone. Wayne greeted happily, as he lifted up a plate of assorted meats and cheeses for them to see. Mom. Robin-san. Makino-san. You should try this food. It's so good. Ace said joyfully, as the two other children beside him gave a hum in agreement. Hello everyone. I hope we aren't intruding. My name is Makino. Mako introduced herself while giving a slight bow. My name is Rouge, and I'm the mother of the little boy Ace. Rouge presented herself while making Ace blush in embarrassment by Rouge's comment. I'm known as Neko Robin, I hope we get along. Robin announced politely, as she sized up the two men's aura in front of her with her observation hockey. What she saw shocked her, as she didn't expect people with such massive auras to be here in the East Blue of all places. The black-haired man's aura appeared to be the cold, serious, no-nonsense type, while the orange-haired man's aura felt to be akin to that of a playful, teasing jokester type. Despite them feeling like the opposite of each other, she knew that their auras had one thing in common. They were massive, especially the young orange-haired man, as it felt just as big, if not bigger than Luffy. Before she can go further into it though, she was interrupted by the same orange-haired man who she was staring at. Well now, I know I'm sexy and everything, but can you please stop staring at me and my crewmate? We'd really appreciate it. Wayne said in a kind tone, but gave Robin a look that screamed stop what you are doing right now if you want to live. No, why don't you beautiful ladies sit down and enjoy themselves with some of the captain's food? It's really delicious and nutritious. He continued on, as if he hadn't given Robin a threatening look, while he motioned them to sit down and eat with him. The three women sat down, not wanting to be rude to the people who appeared to have befriended Luffy and Ace, and took some of the sandwiches that were laid out on the blanket. This is really good. Makino exclaimed in delight, as she took another bite. It really is delicious. Rouge agreed, as continued chewing. Agreed. Robin stated, as she took a sip of coffee that surprisingly went well with the sandwich. So now that we have introduced ourselves, and eaten a little, may we ask your names? Robin inquired while the two men and two children nodded in agreement. I don't see why not. My name is Gracilson Wayne. The constipated-looking fellow is Graz McNeos, while the long-nosed kid beside him is his disciple Usopp. Wayne spoke, as he first pointed to Neos, who gave a less than pleasant reaction to how he was introduced. Usopp, who looked at the woman emanating with pride, before giving Kaya a side hug. And this intelligent girl is Kaya, the daughter of the owners of the mansion not too far from us. Not to mention she is also my student, as she really wants to become a doctor herself, and I hold a good amount of knowledge in the medical field. He boasted while giving a beaming smile towards Kaya, who smiled back. Okay, and now I want to ask a question. Makino said. And what question would that be, Mist? Neo's questioned neutrally, as he took a slice of pie, and bit it. It was the blue-haired man that is chasing Luffy, and why is he chasing him? Makino asked, which caused Wayne to give off a snicker, while Neo shook his head. Well, you see, Wayne began. Going back a couple of minutes ago, so you're learning how to master those 3 long-range weapons, as well as Bobo. Luffy began before being interrupted by Usopp, who was holding a long dark green slingshot that also doubles as a staff, along with rifle, bow, and arrows strapped on his back. Jutsu, Mr. Luffy. Usopp interrupted. Yes, that's amazing. With those skills you can be one of the best snipers in the world. Maybe even the best. He praised Usopp. Seiko. And you, Kaya, are learning to be a doctor, as well as a swordswoman. Luffy now asked the blonde-haired girl. Indeed, I am Luffy-san. Wayne-sensei is one of the smartest, if not the smartest doctor I know. Plus he's really good with explaining how to do certain procedures, and why you need to do them. With Erasval-sensei he started out by giving a demonstration on how good I can be if I keep training. At first, I thought that learning how to use a sword was going to be really difficult, but Erasval-sensei's personal style really was the easiest style for me to learn out of all the other ones he has shown me. Kaya proudly stated, as Wayne and Erasval gave her a smile, albeit Arrival's was a considerably smaller one. Oh? And what kind of sword style is that? Ace questioned, really interested in what kind of fighting the girl can do. The Kuragana one sword style. Kaya stated as a matter of factly. Luffy and Ace looked at her in awe as she said that, but for different reasons. That sounds like an amazing sword style. I wonder how strong it has made her. Ace wondered. Isn't that Mihawk's sword style? And this Ars guy knows that style as well, and is now teaching it to Usopp's soon-to-be girlfriend Kaya. Something seems fishy here, Luffy thought seriously, as he began to wonder what changes made him go back to the past. What was the presentation he did? Ace asked curiously, as he began to put 2 and 2 together, as he looked at Erasval. Well, first he had Neo shoot a volley of bullets at him, and then he deflected them with such skill that he made the bullets hit the targets behind him. Kaya praised before continuing. And for the grand finale, Erasval slices one of the biggest hills here in the Gecko Islands in half. She concluded while Erasval was bashfully scratching the back of his head, confirming Ace's suspicion. So he's the one that sliced that one hill in half when we got here. Ace stated in shock, as what appeared to be a kind guy was really a super strong kind guy. Well, now if you guys are done talking, how about I bring dinner for us outside today? I made a bunch of sandwiches along with barbecue ribs, as well as some delicious pumpkin pie. Erasval stated, as he opened up some golden portals, and a couple of plates filled with sandwiches, pots filled with barbecue ribs, and pumpkin pies, neatly landed on the blanket Arrival set up before taking out the food. This caused all those around to start salivating, and immediately dug themselves in, as they all got at least one piece of each food that was served, except for Luffy, who just grabbed one of the pots filled with barbecue ribs, and dumped the entire thing into his mouth. It was all the sound that came out from the perfectionists, Usopp and Kaya. Well, the 2 children have heard of devil fruits, they've never seen one in action. With the perfectionists, they were not surprised by Luffy's devil fruit power, but by how he was using said power. Well, in all of the years in my life, I never thought I would see a new wielder of the gum fruit so soon. That explains why he eats like that though. Wayne murmured, catching the attention of his crewmates. So you've had past experiences with people who have eaten the gum fruit? Neos asked, getting a rather nasty grunt in confirmation from Wayne. Yeah, I did, and they were the most immature people I have met in my entire life. Wayne muttered angrily, as he gnawed on one of the ribs. What did they ever do to you that caused you to react that way, Wayne Gigi? Erasval questioned before receiving a glare from Wayne. Don't want to talk about it. Wayne growled out before going back to his usual joyful self. Well anyway, why don't we just dig in before Luffy here decides to eat all of the food? Oh, don't worry about that, I won't touch the pies. Luffy started making Erasval sigh in relief, before wondering why he wouldn't touch the pies. Wait, why wouldn't you touch the pies? He questioned, despite getting a feeling he won't like the answer. I just hate pies. They're disgusting, and they remind me of a big dark burly gay man with missing teeth. Luffy started with extreme prejudice, as he thought of Blackbeard. Well, maybe trying one of my pies will make you think differently. Erasval spoke, as he tried to hand a slice of pie to Luffy, only for it to be accidentally smacked off of his hand. Oops. Sorry about that. Luffy apologized while Arrival's eyes got shadowed over. Oh shit, thought Wayne and Neos, as they saw the slice of pie fall towards the ground. They know through many years of experience to never waste food, especially when the person who cooked the food is right in front of you. They both remembered the first, and most definitely last time they accidentally wasted food in front of their captain. As to what he did to his crewmates for that sin, let's just say they sang soprano for a good month or so. Erasval spoke darkly. Ha! Was all Luffy could say before his observation. Haki screamed at him to move out of the way. Thankfully Luffy did move out of the way, as what was there where he was sitting not too long ago was Erasval's sword, with Erasval holding the piece of pie Luffy dropped. I'll avenge my pie, you shithead. Erasval yelled out, as he swung his sword again at Luffy, only for Luffy to dodge again, as he started to use it in order to gain some distance from Ars. Luffy thought he was going to be alright before his senses screamed at him to dodge. He dodged whatever was going to hit him before his eyes processed what he saw. A Razval above him with his left hand stretched out aiming the slice of pie into his mouth. While this was happening, Ace was contemplating if he should help his brother before deciding that this would happen regularly, as continued to eat the food off his and Luffy's plate, while the other four did the exact same thing with their own plates, not really worried about either person from their respective group. You will eat this delicious motherfucking pie even if I have to shove it down your throat. And then I'll make you say that my pie is delicious. Razval yelled out in fury as he landed on the ground and ran at Luffy. By this point Luffy had had enough and was beginning to reach his boiling point. No. Pies are disgusting. You can't make me. Luffy exclaimed in anger as he continued to himself away from Razval. Not even a moment had passed when Luffy felt Makino's, Rouge's, and Robin's oar rather close, but didn't decide to ponder on it. As he continued to fly away from Razval, he decided that enough was enough and did a U-turn towards Razval and smacked a pie out of his hands with extreme amounts of force while covering it with armament hockey, causing the pie to become a kinetic missile as it hit the ground, causing a small explosion. You prick. It took me over an hour to bake that pie. You're so fucking dead. Razval yelled out with renewed fury, seeing the once still edible slice of pie turned into a mixture of dirt and mush. Well, you shouldn't have tried to have force-fed it to me in the first place. Luffy retorted back angrily, as he didn't know what it would take for the guy chasing him to stop. Back to the present, and that's what happened before you three came here. Wayne finished up his story, as he chugged down some water. So this all began because Luffy expressed his dislike of pie, and accidentally hit said food, causing it to hit the ground. Rouge questioned, to which both men and all three children nodded sagely. Well, I've heard stranger things. She pointed out, with Robin humming in agreement. I wonder what Luffy referred to when he said big dark burly gay man with missing teeth. Makino questioned, to which everyone around her just gave a shrug. On the Moby Dick, sneezed out Marshal D. Teach suddenly, as he and the rest of his division were eating dinner. Whoa there, Teach. Cover your mouth when you sneeze. We don't need another sickness going around here again. Thatch scolded, as he brought out more food for his crewmates. Sorry about that, 4th Division Commander. Teach called out, to which Thatch responded back with a wave. The teacher then went back to his own thoughts. I hope I can find that fruit soon. The sooner the better. Back to the Gecko Islands. Well, whatever Luffy meant doesn't matter for now. I just hope Marines wouldn't suddenly come over here with a Vice Admiral or two. That would make this vacation end early. Robin mused, gaining a chuckle from Wayne. Ha! What are the chances of some Vice Admirals actually coming over here in the East Blue of all places? Wayne questioned. Well, I hate to break it to all you, but you two just jinx us because that is exactly what's coming towards us right now. Neos chimed in with a careless tone in his voice, causing everyone to go silent and look at him, as if he grew a second head. You're serious, aren't you? Wayne stated grimly, as a serious look came over his face. Correct. Beyond the horizon lies Vice Admiral Garp, and one other Vice Admiral, along with approximately 200 Marine soldiers. He started making everyone around him except for Wayne, Rouge, and Makino worry. But Vice Admiral Garp was a little pissed, to say the least. He most definitely knew within the bottom of his heart, even if he himself tried to deny it time and time again, that the perpetrator to St. Jalmac's death was none other than Luffy himself. With him and a couple other marine battleships sent out to search every single island in a pincher fashion in order to make sure the murderer won't escape. I really hope Zephyr knows what he's doing. It took us a couple of weeks to get here, so he might not even be hiding in the East Blue anymore. Vice Admiral Tsuru spoke. Oh, trust me, he definitely is here. I can sense it. Garp proclaimed seriously. Just an hour later, they can see their destination, the Gecko Islands, and from what Garp can see, there seems to be some action going on there. Luffy, you better pray to God that you're not there, or there will be hell to pay. Sierra Village. One of the few villages and towns that are in the Gecko Islands, is a normal and simple village with nothing really too unique about it. As far as people are concerned, it is a peaceful place that is great for vacations. Over recent months though, things started to get hectic around the village. For one, the arrival of the group of bounty hunters known as the Perfectionists has made the daily lives of the villagers a little more interesting, to say the least. However, little did the inhabitants know that the current week they are currently on has something in store for the rather timid village. This brings us now to the marine battleships which are currently headed towards the Gecko Islands, with Vice Admiral Garp and Vice Admiral Tsuru leading the helm of it. So, may you explain to me why you think our grandson is the one responsible for the murder of St. Jalmac? Tsuru asked curiously, as to why Garp would pin the blame on their grandson. Well, first off, despite the Den camera being far away from the incident, the size of the government ship is about roughly the same size as Luffy. Not to mention, the only person I know who is crazy enough to even think of doing something like that in the East Blue is, of course, our grandson. Yeah, you're right about Luffy being the only one to think of doing such a thing. The way you talk about Luffy though makes him seem like he's some sort of ruthless cult killer. I don't mean for it to sound that way, but I guess you're right. I did make him sound like that, didn't I? Garp concluded, as the two vice admirals looked towards the Gecko Islands, and could now visibly see explosions coming from one of the smaller islands. At this point Garp had decided that he had enough, and himself off the marine battleship, leaving Tsuru to shake her head in amusement. Impatient, as always, Garp. Gunilla. Tsuru yelled out, and not a second had passed when a dark royal blue-haired woman wearing a periwinkle-colored suit with two katanas strapped to her left side had appeared behind Tsuru. Yes ma'am. Gunilla spoke, prepared to do whatever order her teacher wanted her to do. My protege follows Garp as backup. He'll probably not need it, but better safe than sorry. Tsuru stated, to which Gunilla nodded and went after Garp. But Luffy and Erasval. Hey Luffy. Erasval suddenly stopped and spoke out with a hint of dread in his tone of voice. The two had been fighting for the past 45 minutes non-stop, as Aras tried time and time again to avenge his slice of pumpkin pie that Luffy accidentally knocked out of his hands. At the moment though, both of their danger senses were going through the roof. Do you feel that? If you mean the feeling of imminent death and endless pain awaiting you, then yes, I do feel that. Luffy responded, wondering what could give him that feeling right now, and the only answer he could come up with was his grandfather Garp. Luffy? Erasval. Truce? Erasval asked. Truce. Luffy confirmed. And with that settled in their minds, as they heard their names being yelled at, they ran out of there not wanting to deal with their fellow relatives. With the rest, the 8 people were enjoying their picnic when they were given a sight for sore eyes. Wayne, Ace, and Usopp fell to the ground laughing. The 3 women chuckled at the sight, with only Kaya and Neos looking at them instantly, knowing what could get the both of them to run, as if their lives depended on it. Guys. Vacation's over. We need to go. Luffy exclaimed in a panic fashion while Erasval was behind him nodding frantically in agreement. What? Why? Exclaimed Ace, Wayne, and Usopp, who were just getting to know each other, and were rather fond of each other, with Ace's brash yet kind personality, resonating with Usopp's joyful happy-go-lucky one, and Wayne's very bubbly prankster personality. Marines are coming. That's the reason why, isn't it? Robin asked, finally realizing why they would cut their vacation short, to which Luffy and Erasval nodded. Yes they are, and for what reason I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be a good one. Erasval stated grimly, as he looked towards the direction where they came from. For all we know, they might be coming for you, Nico. Robin. Robin's body stiffened while Luffy proceeded to glare at Erasval. What are you trying to say? Luffy, angered that the man in front of him would try to pin the blame on Robin for the Marines coming over here. Oh? So that's why your name was so familiar. To think that the 79 million bounty woman would be here in the East Blue of all places. Wayne spoke, as if he had an epiphany, as he and Neos stood up. How do you know who I am? Robin questioned, though she feared what the answer might be. Well, if you had maybe paid more attention to our names, perhaps you'd know. I mean, I know we're bounty hunters from the New World and everything, but can we at least get some recognition here? Wayne retorted while Luffy and Robin's eyes widened in shock. Of course. Luffy thought, as he prepared himself in case he needed to fight the 3 men in front of him. No wonder these guys are so strong. However, there's something else about them that I need to make sure of. I have a couple of questions for you guys. Luffy spoke, gaining the attention of the perfectionists. State your questions then. Neo spoke. When did you 3 come here in the East Blue, and why? Luffy questioned. We came here to do a job for the world government almost 6 months ago. Neo started wondering why he would want that information. What was that job about? Luffy pressed on, with the murderous feeling growing in his gut. The annihilation of the New World pirate crew that entered the East Blue. Neos confirmed Luffy's suspicions, but despite the growing urge to kill the 3 men in front of him, he decided to ask one last question. What was the name of the pirate crew you guys killed? Luffy asked, making some warnings go off in the bounty hunters' heads. May I ask why you are asking these questions? Neos wondered, as Luffy had a strange smile plastered on his face. I'm just curious, that's all. Luffy merely stated, using all of his will not to kill them until he can truly confirm that it was them they killed. Now who were they? The young money pirates, Erasval stated before being shoved out of the way along with Neos by Wayne, who got consumed by a transparent beam that was sent by Luffy himself. Wayne. Both bounty hunters yelled out in shock, as they couldn't sense their Dr. Navigator anymore. It was as if he was blasted into nothingness, with the only thing showing that he was there in the first place is a dismembered hand. They weren't the only ones that reacted, as Makino and Ace just gaped in shock at what Luffy had just done while Rouge and Robin widened their eyes. Usopp couldn't comprehend what he saw while Kaya took it really bad. Wayne-sensei. She screamed out in horror seeing her teacher being blasted into nothingness. Robin. Take the others to the other side of this island right now. I'll meet up with you all later. But first, there's something I have to take care of. Luffy yelled out, as she used her flower fruit powers to grab and launch Ace towards her mother's arms, and they ran off. Usopp. Kaya. Get out of here, and head home. This isn't something for the both of you to see. No matter what you hear, don't turn back. Arrival also yelled out at the same time, making the 2 crying children run over to Kaya's mansion. Once they were in the clear, Erasval and Neos glared at Luffy while he did the same. You know, Erasval muttered darkly, as he pulled out his sword from its scabbard, and Neos picked up his guandao. You really are like your grandfather Luffy, happy, easy to get along with, and kind, yet irrational, and impulsive. Not to mention, it seems it wasn't the gum fruit you've eaten at all, as I highly doubt that that devil fruit has the ability to do what you just did moments ago. You seemed like a great person, and I would have loved it if you had joined my crew. Even if you had asked me to, I would have rejected the offer. Luffy interjected, not bothering on fixing a rival's mistake about his devil fruit powers, while Erasval let out a hollow chuckle. Yeah, I figured as much. It's such a shame though that because of your impulsiveness and irrationality, you're going to die right here, right now. As Erasval finished, Neo swiftly lifted up his left hand, making Luffy go stiff. Why can't I move? Luffy gritted out, as he tried to force himself to move, failing in trying to do so. Before he can try to struggle again, Neo's clenched his hand, making Luffy explode into a pile of blood and gore, filling the area around them with a terrible stench. Well, it seems he's hiding more than what we had expected, Captain. Neo's commented, as he and Erasval watched Luffy reform back by turning his blood and remains of his body into a ball of bluish dust that then changed into a form that looked more human, before solidifying itself back into Luffy's original form. If you guys really want to kill me, you're going to have to try harder. Luffy said before seeing Erasval, and Neo's looking towards his direction in surprise, before they both gave off a smirk. Luffy was confused as to why they were smirking before he felt one of the most terrifying, if not, the most terrifying aura he's ever felt. Oh, don't worry, we weren't trying. This is just the beginning. A distorted voice spoke out from behind Luffy, as the rubber man instantly covered his entire body with armament hockey, and turned around just in time to see a reddish-black gas-covered Wayne hit him with the side of his warning sign axe, launching Luffy towards a big hill, decimating said hill in the process. What the hell? Luffy thought in shock at seeing the man he knew disintegrated being there, as if he wasn't hit in the first place. I'm sure he died when I hit him. I couldn't sense him anymore when I did. What did he do? I'm sure you're wondering right now, Luffy, how I am still alive despite being disintegrated down to the subatomic level. So I'll give you one hint before we end you. You can't kill something that exists in all of us. Wayne spoke out, grinning mirthfully, as he let his axe get covered by his trademark reddish-black gas, before dispersing the gas, showing that his weapon is gone. And just when Luffy thought Wayne was done using his devil fruit power, he noted that his ounce silver eyes were now crimson red, with the sclera turning into a pitch-black color. He then saw that the same colored gas surrounding him infused itself into his right arm, showing that Wayne appeared to be unscathed by Luffy's deatomizing attack, while making his arm increase his size threefold, while also gaining the same reddish-black color. Wayne immediately grabbed Luffy with his enlarged hand and threw him towards Neo's at Mach speed, while Neo's used his Guandao and tried to slice through Luffy by infusing his weapon with. Thankfully though, Luffy is much stronger than Neo's, successfully blocking the attack with his right forearm, taking no damage whatsoever, while launching the black-haired man away from him. Luffy then took the opportunity to take out the pistol he was given, as a gift from Frankie, to shoot at Neo's. The Seastone bullets hadn't even made their destination halfway when Erasval stood in front of the bullets, and sliced them to Kingdom Come with Collyburn. Damn it. Can this get any worse? Luffy thought angrily, as he was facing a man who appears to have one of the best regenerative powers he has seen to date, that also boosts his strength, speed, and size, along with a man whose devil fruit power has the capability to keep Luffy from moving a single millimeter. Not to mention, their captain is fast and strong enough to get between the Seastone bullets' trajectory towards Neo's, as well as slicing them to a near dust-like composition. As if responding to Luffy's question, two pure white wings sprouted out of Erasval's back, as well as his clothes being changed to a white-headed robe, and a golden rope appeared to be tied around his waist, along with his arms being wrapped around by light beige-colored bandages that appeared to have poneglyph writing on it. To make matters even worse for Luffy, Erasval's blades started to glow a soft golden light, emanating massive amounts of power. Hybrid form. Erasval yelled out, as he disappeared from Luffy's sight. Luffy's eyes whitened, as his danger senses skyrocketed, and activated his armament hockey armor to its maximum effect. Very soon after, he felt like he was being punched millions of times at that exact moment, while being engulfed by a white flash of light, making him close his eyes to protect them from being blinded. Damn, those punches hurt. Luffy exclaimed, as he kept getting hit. Even if he isn't using them to power them up, they still hurt. Will he just hurry up and stop punching me already? Little did Luffy know that the flash of light wouldn't be going away anytime soon. From other people's perspective, it looked like Luffy was engulfed by an orb made of pure white light. Follow my lead, you two. Erasval exclaimed to both Wayne and Neo's, as he leapt out of the ball made of light, going between his crewmates, before he shot a continuous beam of light towards the light ball. Following his example, Wayne and Neo's each raised one of their arms, and a ball began to form on the palm of their hands. A reddish-black liquid ball the size of a basketball swirled around Wayne's palm, convulsing radically. A massive ball of water with a diameter the size of a football field grew in Neo's palm before being compressed into the size of a tennis ball. At a single moment, time seemed to slow down, and it was at this very moment that both Wayne and Neo's fired their own beams. The beams hit the ball of light, which then turned into an abnormal, erratic ball made of light, water, and whatever Wayne shot at it. After firing for a good couple of seconds, Wayne decided to one-up his fellow captain and shipwright. Is it? He taunted his crewmates, as the beam being fired from his palm expanded in size, increasing the output of whatever Wayne was firing. Say what you will, Neos stated uncaringly, as he also increased the size and output of the amount of water being shot at the unstable ball. Let's do this for you too, Erasval exclaimed, as he is the last one to increase the output of light as beam fired. The 3 bounty hunters yelled out, as they gave the final push to their attacks. The increase of all 3 beams caused the ball to convulse violently, as it expanded from all of the attacks it absorbed, before finally exploding in a form equivalent to that of a high-grade explosive blowing up in midair. With their eyes, they can see the smoldering body of Monkey D. Luffy falling down lifelessly. Despite this, they never caught Luffy himself smirking at their attempt to kill him. Suddenly, to the perfectionist's surprise, Luffy's body disappeared. Neo's observation Haki screamed at him to move out of the way. Unfortunately for him, Luffy's is faster than Neo's can react, causing Neo's body to be sliced in half diagonally. As soon as the sharp compressed air blade known as Rankyaku passed through Neo's, he transformed himself into a blob of water, before reforming himself back to his normal state. As Luffy launched himself backwards in order to gain some distance from the 3 bounty hunters, Erasval's about to launch a sword strike towards Luffy when suddenly his and Luffy's danger senses along with the doctor and shipwrights told the 4 that someone or something dangerous is coming towards them at an alarming rate. Luffy. Erasval. The 4 men froze in their positions. Is that truth still in effect, ours? Luffy asked emotionlessly. Erasval muttered in acknowledgement, making Wayne and Neos hesitantly stop attacking Luffy. Not a second too soon, Garp suddenly appeared throwing an infused fist at Luffy, countered by throwing out his own infused punch, each fist hitting the other. Meanwhile, Tsuru's protege Gunilla took out her 2 katanas, trying to slice Erasval, who retaliated by blocking her blades with his own sword. Luffy. Why did you kill the world noble? Do you know how much you made me worry? Garp yelled out in anger, making the perfectionists look at Luffy in surprise. He killed one of those abominations, the 3 unknowingly thought at the same time, boosting their opinion of Luffy just a bit. And to think your grandson would actually be fighting my little Rs and his ragtag group of bounty hunters. How cute. Gunilla chuckled out while Erasval gave the older woman a glare. Shut up, mother. Erasval muttered out, making Luffy, Wayne, and Neos look at him in surprise. Wait, you mean the hot woman in front of us is your mother? Wayne exclaimed, piecing together how the 2 of them resemble each other. Sai, let me introduce to you Vice Admiral Tsuru's protege, Rear Admiral Gaston D. Gunilla, also known as my mother. Erasval introduced in an uncaring yet irritated tone, as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Sweetie, no need for the cold shoulder. Anyways, Garp, looks like we had interrupted a scuffle between our descendants. From the looks of it, it appears my son would have won. Gunilla commented, making Garp huff in defiance. You know my grandson would win, I mean, your son had to face him with his other 2 crew members after all. Garp retorted, taking pride that his grandson was holding his own against some of the most dangerous people in the New World, aside the Yonko themselves. Gramps, what do you want? Luffy yelled out in frustration, trying to make his grandfather and the woman beside him focus back to what they were originally going to do. Oh Luffy. You ate a devil fruit, didn't you? You've changed a lot this past year. No longer the small 7-year-old boy, but a grown strong man, I see. Garp stated proudly, now realizing his grandson looked completely different, while ignoring a pissed Luffy's statement. At this point, Luffy's face faltered, wondering how his gramps can be oblivious to the most obvious changes, before realizing he had the same problem in his first life. You just realized that? At what point did you see a small 7-year-old me, Gramps? Luffy exclaimed while everyone around him looked at Luffy in confusion. Wait, what do you mean he's changed a lot? And what you two mean that Luffy's supposed to be 8 years old? He looks like he's in his mid-20s. Exclaimed Wayne, wondering what had caused Luffy to turn from a little kid to an adult. Yeah, what did your grandson do to become the hunk that he is? Gunilla purred out, leering over Luffy's well-toned body. Mother, are you really hitting on someone who's technically 8? Erasval was appalled by his mother's actions towards the man-child in front of him. Well, my life is mine, and your life is yours. We could do whatever we want with it, even immoral things. She called out nonchalantly. You're damn right we can. Wayne enthusiastically agreed. Of course you'd agree with the perverted woman. Neos started, making Wayne glare at him. Would you care to repeat that? Wayne questioned dangerously. You must be getting deaf from old age. Enough. We're getting off topic here. Garp frustratedly bellowed out, making the 2 bickering men shut up for the meantime. Getting back on topic here. Luffy, why, oh why, did you think it was such a good idea to go on and kill a world noble? Garp bellowed out in anger, making Luffy angry as well in the process. It was because of that damn noble that Ace and Sabo got hurt, okay? Luffy retaliated, making Garp shut up in surprise at the reason why Luffy had killed the world noble. Because of him, they had hired pirates and tried to burn the Great Terminal so that the Go Kingdom could boast about how clean their kingdom is. They were willing to hire pirates to kill innocents for something stupid like their public image. If you were in my shoes, what would you do, Gramps? Garp had remained silent. In all honesty, even he wasn't sure what he would do if he were in Luffy's predicament. He then realized that despite what position of power anyone has, if they ever messed with Garp's family, he'd end their existence the moment they were in his sight. To be honest here, Luffy, I'd probably do the same. Garp admitted. There's one more thing I have to know though. It's about the criminal, devil child Nico Robin. At this, Luffy's face contorted to a hardened glare. What do you want with her, Gramps? Luffy asked, ready to defend him. She's dangerous, Luffy. She was able to destroy 6 marine battleships at the age of 8. She has to be brought to justice. Garp tried to reason, only to receive a hockey-infused punch in the face from Luffy. Luffy was livid. To think that his Gramps would actually believe what the world government had told him about how dangerous Nico Robin supposedly was, when in reality she's just a young woman who wants nothing more than to know the true history of the world. You know nothing, Gramps. Don't you dare try to do anything to Robin. She's my nakama, and I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure she is protected. Luffy exclaimed in anger. With Robin and the rest, unknown to Luffy, Garp, and the rest of those currently there, Robin overheard their conversation as she used her devil fruit ability to check on Luffy to make sure he's alive and well. They had been rubbing for roughly 10 minutes when they reached their destination, and Robin decided to use her devil fruit powers. Thank you so much, Luffy. Robin thought, as she cracked out a small smile while letting arms down to her sides. Robin, what's going on with Luffy? Ace asked, worried that something might have happened to his younger brother. Don't be afraid of Ace. He's okay. Robin assured the young boy. Robin, Makino, Rouge, and Ace are currently waiting on the piece of land that they came on when both Ace and Robin suddenly went alert. The Marines, Robin began. The coming Ace finished for her, as the both of them prepared to defend themselves. Not a moment too soon, a platoon of Marines came out of the trees aiming their rifles toward the four. Before anyone could do anything, a voice rang out. Men, stand down. The Marines hesitantly did as they were told, as Vice Admiral Tsuru walked forward, where she was greeted by a joyful Rouge and a much brighter Ace. Tsuru-san. It's been so long. How are you? She greeted the old Vice Admiral woman. Aba-san. Why haven't you visited? You should have seen what happened so far this year. Ace exclaimed, as Tsuru crouched down and gave a warm smile while she patted Ace's head. Yes, it's been too long since I have visited any of you. Hell, I don't even think Luffy remembers me. Tsuru stated, as the once tense atmosphere became the opposite. The Marines seemed much more relaxed, seeing as their commandant knew the woman and child. Makino, and even Robin seemed to calm down and be more at ease. Now, as much as I hate to say this, even more so to do it, I would have to ask the 4 of you to follow me, including you, Nico Robin. Tsuru explained, as she took a good look at the 4 people in front of her. Rouge and Ace looked alright with it along with Makino, though she was a bit hesitant. Robin, on the other hand, subconsciously took a step back and seemed very nervous. Do not fret, children. I'll assure you that Garp will take no excessive action towards you, especially since my grandson seems smitten by you. Tsuru lightly teased Robin, who gained a slight blush before nodding. As they headed back, they began to hear chatter and laughter, much to everyone's confusion. They were greeted to the side of Luffy, Erasval, Wayne, Neos, Gunilla, and Garp sitting down together in a circle, as Kai wrapped herself around Wayne crying in joy, while Yusuf sat beside Neos sniffing slightly. Okay, what did we miss? And how is he back? Makino asked, as she wasn't expecting the then serious situation to become more of a reunion between family and friends, not to mention the returning of the orange-haired Dr. Navigator, whom she swore she saw get obliterated by Luffy's attack. Oh, we just had some disagreements, but nothing that a good old-fashioned chat and fight can fix. And, as to why I'm still here alive and kicking, that's a secret for only me and my crew. Wayne explained, as he petted his sniffing Kai's head. Yes, well, even so, we're going to have to make this vacation a short one. I'm sorry for trying to kill you guys. And thank you for giving them a proper burial. Luffy stated, as he gave his trademark grin. Erasval couldn't help but smile as well. Well, let's let bygones be bygones. We hope my little comment doesn't deter any of you from being acquainted with us. Erasval apologized, knowing this all started with him unintentionally accusing Robin for being the reason why the Marines came. Oh, don't worry about it. Even though you, Wayne, and Neos are bounty hunters, I'd still like it if we became allies. Luffy suggested, to which the 3 bounty hunters nodded in agreement. Luffy Garp spoke, gaining Luffy's attention. Are you sure you will be able to get me a competent Marine to replace you within 10 years? Garp asked. Yes, I do, Gramps. Believe me, the one I choose will be more than enough, and I promise you he'll be an admiral a few years in the Marines. Luffy promised to make Garp sigh in content. Now Luffy, well, I do have a problem with you and Rouge sheltering a criminal, Garp said, as he looked at Robin, who shifted around uncomfortably at Garp's narrowing gaze. But, if I try to stop you from keeping her safe, that'd make a hypocrite now, wouldn't it? Garp said, as he pinched the bridge of his nose in frustration. Wait, you mean? Luffy began happily before being interrupted by his grandfather. Yes. Now go before I change my mind. Garp exclaimed in a mixture of anger and frustration. Upon hearing this, Luffy immediately stretched his arms to wrap around Ace, Rouge, Makino, and Robin, before using to hightail it out of the area. Now that I think about it, it seems like Luffy did eat 2 devil fruits. Wayne mused to himself, making those around him raise an eyebrow in confusion. Wait, shouldn't it be impossible for 2 devil fruits to coexist within a single vessel? Gunilla asked, knowing from what she has read about devil fruits, that one cannot have 2 devil fruit powers. That is true for the most part. However, in all of my years in living, I have seen cases, albeit pretty rare even for one of my lifespan, where someone has eaten more than 1 devil fruit and survived the event. Wayne explained, shocking those around him. Out of nowhere, Vice Admiral Tsuru went up to Garp and smacked him on the top of his head rather hard. Ow? What was that for? Garp asked, completely confused as to why Tsuru would hit him while he rubbed a large bump that appeared on the top of his head. That's for making our grandson leave without him saying hello to me. Honestly Garp, I haven't seen him in so long, and you sent him away before he had a chance to notice I'm here. Tsuru shouted out, as she continued to smack Garp on the head, much to the amusement of those around him. While this was going on, a rival took Usopp and Kaya's hands, and took them to a much more secluded place. So, Erasval began, as he looked at the 2 children with a serious expression. What are your thoughts on Luffy's offer? He asked them both, as they gave him a look of uncertainty. Seeing the fear in their eyes, Erasval gave a calming smile. If you 2 want to know my thoughts on this, I could care less whether you accept it or not. Whatever it is that you want to do, be it pirate or marine, me and my crewmates will support your decision. Erasval assured the children, who gave him a smile of appreciation for his truthfulness. The 2 looked at each other before nodding and looking back at Erasval. Well, much later with Luffy, Luffy contemplated the series of events that corresponded over today as he lay down on his bed. He never thought that the bounty hunters themselves would bury the entire young mini-pirate crew and give them a proper resting place, even if Neos had stated that they did it because they had enough money and were too lazy at that point to just turn them into the Marines. And even then, he didn't think he would win his argument with his grandfather Garp in ensuring that Robin won't do anything bad, as well as promising him a good Marine in exchange. He chuckled as he thought of a certain pink-haired Marine who at this moment is still a kid with a dream to become an admiral. Still, even after all of this, one unanswered question remained in his head. Who are the perfectionists, and why hasn't he met them during his first life? Good, you finally asked the question I was waiting for you to ask. An all too familiar voice started making Luffy sit up in surprise. He was then greeted to the sight of the very same old messenger man who told him about his second chance in life. Oh hey. You ball, Luffy halfway exclaimed before suddenly knocking out. Go to sleep, we'll talk somewhere where no prying ears can hear. The old man stated, as he looked towards the corner of the room where he saw an ear and an eye. Even though Robin seemed to be looking straight at him, she couldn't really see him at all, as the old man only makes himself visible to those he wants. Perks of being an angel, even more so since he's God's messenger. In Luffy's mindscape, Luffy suddenly found himself back in Ms. Adams' laboratory, more specifically the corridor. At the end of the corridor, there's an open door, which caught Luffy's attention for obvious reasons. He started walking towards the open door, and when he entered, he was greeted to the sight of Ms. Adam, the Gum Gum Devil, and God's messenger all sitting at a table waiting for Luffy to come and join them, albeit the Gum Gum Devil looked like he was going to blow a fuse. Hello Luffy, please, the messenger began before being interrupted by the Gum Gum Devil. Hurry up, and sit down already. The Gum Gum Devil shouted impatiently, much to the annoyance of Ms. Adam, and the amusement of the messenger. Luffy did as he was told, and sat down facing forward at the messenger. Right? So, as you've probably already noticed Luffy, the world you're in right now is essentially the past, but at the same time, it isn't the one you're originally from. The messenger explained, as Luffy nodded. As I've told you before, there were going to be many things that happened differently compared to your original past. For instance, I'm sure you know that Arlong and his crew weren't supposed to go to the islands a year ago, but rather the year after this one. Yes, I already knew that. What are you getting at? Luffy wondered what the old man was trying to say. Sigh, have you ever heard of the multiverse theory, Luffy? He was genuinely interested in Luffy's answer, while Ms. Adam had realized what the old man meant, making her eyes widen in surprise. Well, I have seen that term once in one of the books that Robin had lent me in training my new devil fruit power. What about it? Are you saying that you took me into the past of a different universe? Exclaimed Luffy in amazement. You're getting on the right track. Now I know you want to know what has happened with the perfectionists, as well as the young mini-pirates in your original universe, so I'll start there. The messenger began, as he got comfortable on the chair he is currently sitting on. Luffy suddenly leaned forward in anticipation to what he's going to learn about the bounty hunters, as well as the friendly pirate crew that got killed by said bounty hunters. Even the Gum Gum Devil and Ms. Adam seemed very interested in this topic, albeit Ms. Adam didn't lean in as much as the 2 males in the group. Let's start with the oldest guy in the bounty hunting group, Gracious'n Wayne. 6 years before you began your journey, there was a meeting between Kaido and Big Mom. During the meeting, he barged in and challenged both of their crews in a battle, claiming they wouldn't be able to kill him. They sort of did. Luffy was baffled at this revelation. Well, that explained why he wasn't there in his own timeline. This did bring up a question though. Why did he go and challenge both Big Mom and Kaido? Even he should have known that he was going to die should he attack both pirate crews at the same time. Luffy explained, as from what he saw in Wayne even in the short time they've gotten to know each other, is that he most definitely has a screw or two loose in his head. That's the thing though, Luffy, he wanted to die. The messenger explained, causing Luffy to cock his head in confusion. From what he saw with Wayne is that he seemed to be like any other person, wanting to live and keep on living. Seeing Luffy's confusion, he tried to further explain it. Let me explain his situation to you, Luffy. How would you feel if one day, you accidentally eat a devil fruit that essentially makes you the very essence, the embodiment, the very thing that no one wants to be, and in exchange, you'll never die through any normal means? Because of said fruit, he had to see all of his loved ones and their descendants die, while he continued to live on. He was afraid of making new bonds with people, as he didn't want to keep feeling lost. It had gotten to the point that he had tried every single way of killing himself that he would have thought would do the trick. Old age. He lived to be over 4 centuries while trying to kill himself a number of times throughout. Sea stone bullet. Once removed, he'll be as good as new after seemingly dying. Drowning. He tried that, and 30 years later his body washed up on the coast of an island seemingly unharmed. Sea stone blade to the heart. Same with the sea stone bullet. Jumping into an active volcano. He did, and a century later, said volcano erupted, launching him out in the process. Injecting himself with impossible amounts of poison. The moment the poison entered his body, it was killed off by his immune system. After explaining Wayne's situation, Luffy couldn't help but feel pity for the orange-haired man. Even Luffy didn't think he could have gone through what Wayne had gone through. The messenger continued on the topic of Wayne. So, as a last-ditch effort, he went to the New World by himself, might I add, in search of someone who might actually be capable of killing him. Thus he went on, and did the most insane thing he had ever done. And it succeeded. Wait a moment. You keep saying sort of, what do you mean by that? Ms. Adam, who had been silent throughout the conversation, chimed in wondering what the old messenger meant by sort of. Well, when he was fighting off both Charlotte Linlin and Kaido himself, something strange happened. It had never happened before in all the times I've gone through different universes of this world. He became the devil fruit. My guess is, as good as yours. I don't really know what he did to become the very devil he had eaten, but when he fought, he suddenly became a devil fruit. For some reason, Kaido grabbed the fruit and chucked it towards the ocean, never to see the light of day again. Since then, the devil fruit has been in a cavern in the deepest part of the New World Ocean. The messenger finished while all those around him remained silent. So I guess that's the end of his story, is it not? Ms. Adams stated while she looked up at the ceiling above her. So what about the other two? What happened to them? The messenger just smiled sadly, as he remembered what had happened to them. Well, with Gaston d'Erasval, he died at childbirth, along with his mother Gunilla, who died due to complications. Actually, this is one of the very few universes out there that has him alive, and well. In most of them, the world government's project on creating the ultimate force the Marines will have to offer had failed spectacularly. All children born from this project, known as CPX or Heaven's Wrath, were genetically altered and enhanced by both Dr. Vegapunk and Caesar Clown to maximize their capabilities. But because of this, they had unknowingly increased the chances of them dying to the point of survival being near non-existent. Therefore, the reason why you hadn't heard about him in your own timeline is because he never existed in the first place. The messenger told them sadly. With Graz McNeos, he died 15 years before you started your journey, as a result of a civil war which happened in his home island in the New World. He was a commander in his country's military that led his platoon through the most dangerous missions given to him. At some point though, a very destructive secret came out, and the government needed a scapegoat to blame the incident on, namely Neos and his platoon. One day, his platoon was given the task to hold off the rebels from crossing a very important bridge, which could have changed the tides of the war. They weren't, however, given the information on how big the group of rebels was going to be. So when the rebels came, they were initially underprepared for them, as their numbers were in the hundreds of thousands. But Neos, prioritizing his comrades' lives over his own, ordered his platoon to retreat and to bring back up while he held them off, using the power of the water fruit to help him. After 2 days of constant fighting and defending, the rebels had lost over 70% of their forces in that area, causing them to retreat, while Neos stood there on the bridge tired and wondering what happened to his platoon and why there wasn't any backup. He went back to his base to give his report, but was greeted to the sight of his dead platoon members stacked in a pile, as his superiors looked down on him. They then did the stupid thing, and started monologuing about what happened, and why they did what they did. Needless to say, it caused something in him to snap, causing his devil fruit power to awaken, and consequently using his power to implode his enemies, and those who wronged him, and his platoon. Little did he know though that one of his former superiors had requested help from the world government, causing them to send in an admiral along with 3 battleships. Needless to say, that's where things went downhill for him. The messenger stated, as he took in a deep breath, as he slouched in his chair. The Gum Gum Devil took a lot of interest, and was exasperated that the old messenger had stopped. Seeing his reaction, the messenger couldn't help but chuckle at his reaction. Well, when the Marines came, they were greeted to the sight of the entire island being covered with blood, guts, and disfigured bodies. The further they went into the island, the more blood and gore appeared, with some areas literally being big ponds filled with nothing but water. However, what scared them was when they finally reached a spot that had no blood on it whatsoever, which turned out to be the graves of Neo's platoon. Then Neo seemingly appeared out of nowhere, then one thing led to another, and soon enough, the destruction caused by Neo's, and the Admiral literally wiped the island off the face of this planet, along with the civilians, remnants of the rebels, government, and themselves, as well. The messenger concluded while Luffy looked at him in amazement. This old guy has a lot of information about these guys. Luffy thought, as he now knew why he hadn't met any of the protagonists when he sailed throughout the Grand Line. He suddenly became curious about the Admiral who was capable of taking down Neo's. I have a question. Luffy said, getting the attention of the old angel in front of him. What is it? The angel asked. Who was the admiral that killed Neo's? Luffy questioned. His name was Izuka, also known as the 5th Admiral Akainu. He was known throughout the Marines for his strong belief in absolute justice, as well as his destructiveness with his devil fruit, the flame fruit. The angel responded while Luffy looked at him in surprise. So he was the one who had the flame fruit before Ace. And those other names they have, Luffy began. Yes, those are preset titles given to those who become an admiral. Sometimes new ones have to be created to suit the admiral, but for the most part, there are other people who have used that title before. For example, Sengoku was known as the 3rd Admiral Kizaru in his time before becoming known as the Fleet Admiral, and the Buddha. The angel explained, as Luffy nodded in understanding. Going back to Neo's, his fight with Admiral Hisoka caused the both of them to kill each other. After that, no one had been able to find their bodies along with the water fruit, but Ace had found and eaten the flame fruit a good 12 years later. Okay, now what happened that caused him to be alive right now? Ms. Adam asked, wondering what had happened in this universe for Neo's to have survived. Wayne and Erasval, was the angel's answer. What did they do here that caused the change? The Gum Gum Devil wondered, not knowing how they were the ones that kept Neo's alive. Everything. For you see, since Arrival survived his birth, as well as his mother, along with the other children that were part of the CPX program, he left Punk Hazard, which was the base of the project, at the age of 11. Half a year later, being by himself, he had a chance encounter with Wayne trying to end his own life, and befriended him. Another 6 months passed, and they caught sight of the battle going on between Neo's and Hisoka. Once they dealt the final blow to each other, Wayne and Erasval went on to save Neo's life, and thus, the Perfectionists were created. The angel summarized, finally giving the big picture to Luffy and his devil fruits. That's really amazing. Well, what about the young money pirates? What happened to them? Luffy asked, wanting to know why he hadn't heard about or met the young money pirates. Well, the old angel began. They unkinned a pissed of both Garp and Borsellino, so they sent out the equivalent of 3 Buster Calls at the same time, and annihilated them while gaining the gold fruit as a spoil, which is why they have obtained so much money and resources, before the person who ate the gold fruit got murdered by Virgo, so Doflamingo can obtain the devil fruit, before it was once again stolen by Gil Tesoro. So all in all, they were already dead at this point of the timeline, as well. The angel told Luffy sheepishly, as Luffy looked a little sad that they were already dead by this point of time even in his original universe. So if this universe is so different to my first one, then why did you bring me to this one instead of my own one? Luffy asked, wondering why this old man's leader would ever send him to a similar yet different place. That's for me to know, and for you to find out. Also, I have to get back to heaven. I have to continue doing my job before I get in trouble with the man in the throne up there. So that's all I have for you, Luffy. Have a good night. The angel said, as he got up and walked out the door, before the room flashed white, blinding Luffy. In the morning, Luffy groaned as the sun hit his eyes as he woke up. Remembering what he was told about the origins of some of the new people he has met, he wonders if they'll make any significant change in his journey. Smelling the wondrous smell of cooking meat, he pushed that question out of his mind for now, and went downstairs for breakfast. Current statuses of the characters. Ascendi Erasval. Age: 18 years old. Height: 6'5". Hair color: dark royal blue. Eye color: gold. Devil fruit power: is a mythical zone type devil fruit. Affiliation: the Perfectionists. Hockey specialization: Conqueror's Hockey. Ascendi Gunilla. Age: 36 years old. Height: 5'11". Hair color: dark royal blue. Eye color: brown. Devil fruit power: none. Affiliation: the Marines. Hockey specialization: none. Equally proficient with armament and observation. Braceilson Wayne. Age: 468 years old. Can pass for a 17-year-old. Height: 6'1". Hair color: orange. Eye color: silver. When using devil fruit, distorted mix of black and red. Devil fruit power: is a Paramecia type devil fruit. Affiliation: The Perfectionists. Hockey specialization. Armament hockey. Raz McNeos. Age. 26 years old. Height. 6'3". Hair color. Black. Eye color. Black. Devil fruit power. Water fruit. Affiliation. The Perfectionists. Hockey specialization. Observation hockey. Monkey D. Luffy. Age. 8 years old. Looks like he's 25. Height. 6'6". Hair color. Black. Eye color. Black. Devil fruit power. Gum fruit and Adam fruit. Affiliation. The Straw Hat Pirates. Hockey specialization. Conquerors. Neko Robin. Age. 19. Height. 5'11". Hair color. Black. Eye color. Brown. Devil fruit power. Flower fruit. Affiliation. The Straw Hat Pirates. Hockey specialization. Observation hockey. Now that's all I have for now. Wait. There's more. Sneak peek time. On the Going Merry. Luffy sighed in irritation, as a couple of moments ago, Nami had collapsed after obtaining a very dangerous fever. Seriously, how the hell did the same exact insect bite her, even though she actually listened to him for once, and dressed with a layer of clothing, and gave her the same disease no less. At times like these, he really felt like cursing the heavens, even if they did give him his second chance on life. Then suddenly Luffy's knees buckled, and he almost fell onto the ground. Sigh, I hope I can at least stall my symptoms from showing to my crewmates. The last thing they need right now is me making more trouble, and working for them. Luffy said to himself, as he leaned on his favorite seat, and rubbed the right side of his neck, which had a very noticeable purple swelling around the bitten area which he kept hidden with a scarf he had brought from Fuchsia village. While he was doing this, Usopp was watching the crow's nest with Marguerite, while Sanji trained Jin, and Brook in the art of hockey. Meanwhile, Nichiko, Vivi, and Kaya stood by Nami's side to make sure nothing bad didn't happen to her, with Kuina and Zoro walking around the perimeter of the Going Merry, in case someone suspiciously stowed away with them. But well, Luffy sighed out in relief, as he took in the air around him, seeing the wonderful Drum Island coming from the horizon. At least nothing could make this any worse. Luffy thought before he heard one of the most horrifying laughters he has ever heard, be it this timeline, or the one he's originally from. The albeit unnoticeable laughter was heard, taunting, as if he was daring for anyone to come and face him. You know what? Fuck whatever compliment and positive outlook he had for this alternate universe. The man in the sky must have definitely planned for this to have happened. Shit is about to get real. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.